Good morning. Jim Barack. Evan, how are you? Jax, what's up, brother? Good morning. Yep. Yes, there are, Jax. Quite a few, it looks like. It looks like it could be a positive week, or we get a little bit more information if this market is actually going to digest a little bit longer, right? We could have failed breakouts. Like we have a nice base in Tesla. We have a nice base in Netflix. Palantir starting to shape up. HIMS is looking pretty interesting. This BE might put in its low and reclaim the 20 simple, and maybe we build a higher low. I mean, there is a lot going on out here this week. It'll be interesting to see if AAOI, finds some support at this 50 and, builds higher lows and then eventually takes off over 30. There's a lot going on. Obviously, we've got a little bit of a gap up in the crypto space. We'll see if that sticks. Gold's in the middle of flying right now. Man, there's a lot going on. Solar's looking good too. Yep. Sedge looks like a bottom setup. Very nice. Run. FSLR. NXT. Sure does. SSRM actionable? No. No, too extended. Maybe you've heard me say this before, but I don't like to buy stocks more than 4 times their ATR from the 50. I mean, it could be actionable if you really want to buy it. But SSRM is 11 and a half times its average true range from the 50 simple moving average. Just way too extended. So when was the best time to buy it? Earnings gap up. When looking for a strong leading group, do you look for the best performing or the second one since it has more room to go? Yuria, what makes you think that the second best performing group has more room to go? That thinking is actually not necessarily correct. Look, you should have enough money to be able to buy stocks in the leading group if you could find a technical setup, in the 5th leading group, in the 10th group, in the 30th group, if they have a good technical setup where you can manage risk. And saying that the second one has more room to go is a complete guess. Complete guess. You don't know that. You don't know that. I don't know that. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows when and where a group tops. Like, you're focused on the leading group because it's leading, right? And things that are going up can continue to go up. So assuming that the second leading group has more room to go is just a complete and utter guess. And I don't want you to do the guessing, right? There's no need to do any guessing in this career. Yeah, AOI might be doing a VCP. Yeah. ALAB and Dash look interesting. I kind of prefer ALAB, even though it's pulled back a little bit more. Because this thing has made a huge run, this kind of first pullback to the 50 simple moving average can usually be buyable. I don't know that I want to show up and buy a 7.5 point gap up if it's opening at 205. So, there's that. But, because Dash it kind of moves with the I mean, not necessarily, but I always view it a little bit as a, I know it's not a food stock, right? But kind of feels that it would move with a food stock. It's internet retail, but I don't really view it like that. They deliver a bunch of food, and food stocks are going down. Not to mention Dash is super slow. AT. So like A Lab, really nice ADR. Dash 2.6. I mean, it moves about a third of the speed per day. I don't know that I would, chase this news. It could be, could be. Not sure. Probably is good momentum for a few days, but I wouldn't short app. I mean, maybe almost 700. Hell of a move. Maybe, but I don't really see a reason that I'd want to short this one, other than the fact that it's also extended from the 50. But FinViz does a good job showing you what ETF stock is in, what ETFs. Who is ready for a Tesla all-time high? No, I am. Array, yeah. Another one. I personally don't think it's nearly as nice. I just find these to be a little bit too choppy right now. I don't see any clean spots. Having bought Sedge right off the 50-day when it got over prior day high, that was probably the best spot on 915. I don't really see a spot on these things at the moment. Array, yeah, it's a little bit tighter right now off of the 50, but it's also kind of just lagging a bit more. But yeah, if you can get over, 845, that doesn't look too bad. Run Joby Groy Snow today. This one's not really going to break out at the level that I'm looking at. So no on Snow, no on Joby, no on Run. None of these names are really on my ready to go, and GROY is way too thin. Tilray, it's Tilray is, for some people, it's super liquid. Yeah, I mean, you start taking out that 133, which it's already gapping up above. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't know how big that news is for the weed stocks, but they are hanging in there and they could go higher. I don't know. If these names are actually going to go higher and go on a real clean actual stage 2 uptrend, we could wait until this 200's actually turning up. SMTC. Yeah, not bad. Just effectively a little flat base breakout. Yeah, I don't normally know if it's just going to be profit taking for the first part of the day. Normally, I prefer to, execute after there's been a gap down and then prices going through my key level. Executing on a gap up's a little bit more of a pain in the ass. MP, I was stopped out on Friday. Way too much volatility. So I was in at $64, but I wasn't going to sit through more of this nonsense. Right? I bought this thing on 99 and I just was holding it using the 50. I got some trims off on 925 into this left side peak, and that's it. And then I got stopped out on the rest on Friday when you broke prior day low. So 68.80 was where I got knocked out. Unacceptable price action. I mean, basically gave back $10 a share in the same day. So, could it bounce? Was it a bad cut? I don't know. I don't care, but my stock's got to act a whole lot stronger than that, or they can go. I think AVGO looks good. QBT short's probably going to take you out. I'm in an IONQ short. Not really having any problems. Well, it depends. It depends where you shorted it. Also, I have a $74 short on this thing, so if we start taking out prior day high, I'll just trim some off. But I probably will get stopped out at some point. But it looks like I may be stopped out, for half today. Who knows? Heckle is a beast. I would be a little bit careful. We're extended from the 50 on this thing. Of course, it can go higher. But you just heard me saying I don't like buying stocks more than 4 times its ATR from the 50. This one is definitely that. No. You think that they're setting up, but there's actually no setup. They're far too extended from their 50, Shane. It's the reason you didn't see me mention any of them last night on the watch list video. So, I mean, I'm sure I know I posted it a little late because I flew in late, but I posted it, and I definitely didn't talk about any of them for exact reason why I don't think that they're setups, because they're too extended from the 50. The time to have bought gold, like an AEM, was on 721 or 8485. Right? You're buying it up here. Yes. Could it keep going? Of course it can. You take 1,000 trades like this in your lifetime, you will be red. It's just the reality, right? Or it will be a short-lived trade. You'll be green for like a day or two, and then you'll just get chopped out. Right? Or it could very well be we're going on like the parabolic stages of the move, and then you get lucky, but you're not here to just rely on luck to make money. You're far too extended from the 50. Don't show up to buy something when it's too extended from the 50. You know this. You've heard me say it a million times. And the industry train has definitely left the station. That is the right way of looking at it, brother. Tesla, don't stop. There should be no reason Tesla stops. It's a gorgeous weekly breakout. Doug, IBKR looks really good. I looked at this one last night as well. Really good. Just a little too slow, which is kind of why I left it out. SMCI is a laggard. Big base. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, it's not bad. UNH thoughts? I don't really like it for a swing yet. It's got to be above the 200. So slow and illiquid. So this thing moves 2.5% per day and trades sub $30 million. This shouldn't even be on your radar. I would never buy it. If you wanted it, then, maybe wait until these highs are taken out. Right? This is a cup and a handle. It's not an ugly setup. Could you buy it as a 50 simple moving average, undercut and rally and a reclaim? You're basically looking for this thing to take out Thursday's highs. Right? 187, but it's just, what is this? 183, but it's just too thin. Too thin, too slow. No, I haven't been able to add to my Tesla, but I can just sit in it. No problem. Right? There's no problem with just sitting in this thing. And we'll see you guys at 500 in, hopefully a week or two. Yeah, I saw the news with Trump posting the thing about the endocannabinoid system. Booking is normally a little too slow. Qualcomm, again, a little too slow. AVGO, probably my favorite of that basket. you've had this thing go on a really big move. This is just a light little pullback on falling volume. I don't hate this thing at all. I think it looks pretty good. CoreWeave is looking bullish. I just don't like the price action necessarily for the past 2 days. But I didn't really like the setup going into this. I thought the setup was fairly ugly. I hate rising wedges. I talk about this all the time in the room. Rising wedges are just very terrible to try and manage risk from. Run a clean breakout on Friday? Yeah, I mean, not necessarily, because you couldn't even take out 923's highs, which I think was Tuesday's highs. But yeah, it looks like it probably wants to go higher. Yeah, why wouldn't I keep my MSTR short? It's below the 200 simple moving average. See this 200? It's below it. There's no reason for me to, panic out of this thing. You see this 5-day? It's $319. We're not even there yet. So why would I preemptively do anything with MSTR? It's not even above the 5-day. I don't mind Uber. It's just a little bit choppy. It's one of those where you just got to buy it, widen out your stop, use an ascending moving average, and then let it work. And, I don't know that I'm really wanting to do that at the moment. NVIDIA could definitely be buyable today, in which case NVDL looks pretty interesting. We'll see. Yeah, these retailer names have been acting really pretty decent. Yeah, Friday was a nice entry on this thing. DDS, is that Dillard's? Wow. Dillard's. Holy smokes. And then you got also TJX. Oh, yeah. Raw Stores. Oh, yeah. Big base on Raw Stores, too. Yeah, it looks like these names are acting pretty well, team. Yeah, could be. Could be. I think BE is my favorite of the bunch. RR, it'd be nice if this company ever reported earnings. Yeah, I don't mind mean reversion. I just, they could just be higher low setups, really. TVTX. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. With the earnings gap up, just a little pullback, held the 10. Yeah, it looks pretty good, Lighthouse. $140 with the gap up. What's the news this morning? Electronic Arts goes private with almost a $50 billion deal. Wow. Yeah, no news on Roblox, just gapping up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would do with that, but yeah, CJ, I also think Palantir looks pretty interesting. It's a tight chart, honestly. Does not look bad. What metrics do I use to quantify if earnings report is good as bad? Is it going up? Is it going down? That's the most important metric of all the metrics. the people who can move the stock, are they excited about it or do they hate it? I can't move a stock, so I don't try to quantify the earnings report. If it's going up, great. If it's going down, not so good. And then obviously, if you want to get more nuanced, are earnings and sales accelerating? Did they raise guidance? Justin, keep it up, brother. Keep it up. Yeah, ALAB. Yeah, CRDO is also another interesting one. ALAB's another interesting one. MU might be a fairly interesting one. They're hanging in there. Yeah, crowd's not bad. I thought Friday was good. I talked about this on the watch list video on Thursday as a possible higher low setup. That 482 level was the spot. Datadog. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Reclaim of the 50. Just a touch slow, but yeah. Yeah, SPHR's gone. No setup. Celsius. Not bad. Not bad. I don't see a setup just yet, but, other than like a 50 simple moving average reclaim, but. Max, I shot a 90. I shot a 90. I'm a bogey golfer. But these courses were super friggin' difficult, man. Yep. Gap ups make setups really tricky, Gabo. Very, very tricky. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if MSOS is going to catch momentum, but I will just wait for, the first few minutes of the day. I really don't care to trade sectors that are still in longer term downtrends over the past 200 days. If these things are really, really going to go higher and it's going to be like a new theme, like new themes don't just die. Guys, semiconductor theme has been going on. The semiconductor theme has been going on for 2.5 years. The gold theme has been going on since March last year. Themes just don't go away. The China theme has been going on since the end of last year, basically a little bit choppier, but really just getting the ball rolling. Like the AI data center, like powering the AI data center theme has been going on for a year. Like these themes go on for a really long time. If weed's going to be an actual theme, we haven't missed anything. What would I say about that breakout in XEL? Looks great. Time to have bought was on this day. It had a big pickup in volume 924. A little slow, but that's all I'd say. MRC wise in the aerospace and defense sector, not bad, but I don't see a setup here. KTOS was my favorite a few weeks ago, and now it's at 90. Good Lord. Yeah, I thought like mid 60s on 9/11 was great. SoFi is just straight up. I don't see a setup on this thing either. I own SoFi way down here. I don't really see a setup on this yet. There's nothing tight about this chart. Bank stocks. I saw, was it JP Morgan hit a new high on Friday? Yeah. Yeah, there's no setup here. I'm not sure if BE is going to be a good short just yet. I actually think that if this thing builds a higher low, it could want to go higher. I'm not going to be trading MP. I just sold it on Friday. I'm not looking to buy it back just yet. Far too much volatility for me. Thoughts on Rocket Lab? A little bit choppy. We'll see if it actually can hold the 50 simple moving average and, that $45.50 level. For some reason, it does feel like it will, and it'll, it's not like it had a huge pickup in volume on this pullback. It just pulled back, right, on smaller and smaller volume. So we'll see. NVIDIA does look pretty good, indeed. Futu, Yeah, Baba's the beast right now. Futsu's another one. Yeah, looks good. Does not look too bad. Don't really see where I would get myself involved. I mean, maybe over Friday's high, but I already own PDD. I've been sitting in there for a while. PL, another aerospace and defense name. This is that PI or PL? I'm not sure. But PL is not a nice flag. It's too extended. I don't know if that was meant to be PL or PI, but I don't really see a setup here. It's just kind of in no man's land. Was this on earnings? What kind of news was this? This is interesting. CRNX. The FDA approves pharma's daily pill for rare growth disorder. Yeah, I don't know. Could be. 45.91. You agree on Nvidia, but still would like some sort of dip? The best stocks don't pull back. The best stocks just keep going. What kind of dip are you looking for? All this thing has been doing for months and months and months is going sideways and getting tight. In fact, it looks pretty damn good. What kind of dip do you need? Interesting. NVMI is pretty interesting. Kind of like a little high type flag. Not bad. Yeah, I would like to find a spot to add on to Tesla, maybe over that 245 level, but I just don't know. Yeah, Zscaler was good. I talked about this one a few days ago as well as a possible higher low setup. I think it looks good. Nothing. Other than buying defense stocks, what do I plan on doing in the event of a NATO Russian invasion? Nothing. My job is not to go guessing what stocks are going to be going up. My job is to come to the market every single day prepared to buy, a stock or two or three if they've got clean setups where I can manage risk. If and when stocks are prepared to go higher and they set me a tight spot, I'll find them. I'll set my alert. I'll let it trigger. If it triggers, I'll buy it. I'll have my stop at the logical level and I'll let it work. That's it. My job isn't to overthink what I'll be buying in case of war or this or that. Like, that's just insane. It's not my job. I see the little flag on Etsy. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. Over $65, I guess, looks pretty interesting, but it's just such a dog stock for such a long time. Lyft looks like it has a little bit more momentum even than Uber, even though it's way at the bottom of a stage 1 base, or really trying to go into stage 2. Palantir to me looks better than QUBT. Yeah, BWXT is in the nuclear group, and it had an earnings gap up I want to say a month ago, maybe. When was this? A month and a half ago. 182.30, yeah, not bad. That'd be a good spot. High volume close. We'll see if it can get through there. Grab does look decent. Looks like it just came out of a massive base. We'll see. Maybe a 20 simple moving average undercut and rally, and this just thing goes sideways for a few more days or builds a higher low. We'll see. Yeah, I'm kind of looking to avoid the gap up, and we'll just take it, one moment at a time. I want to see if the market's just going to pull back at the open, and in which case I don't really want to be buying too many stocks if the market begins to pull. But I will be tracking names that are showing relative strength. And then if the market begins to turn back up and names in my watch list are triggering, then I'll get involved. No, it's not too thin. It might not be too thin for you. It might be a little choppy for me, but if you're not trading with, 3, 4, 5 million bucks, you'd be all right. If you're trading with like a couple 100,000, you'd be able to trade it. Yeah, Palantir doesn't look too bad. Potentially over yesterday's highs. Who knows? Yeah, I noticed that with Roblox going up after the EA news. Yeah, I still journal trades. I journal them and then I'll share them in the Discord. And then after this quarter's over, I'll like make a thread on X about the trades that I've taken, this past quarter, any notable ones, any losses, any wins, etc. TradeZella is probably, my favorite of the bunch. I have TradeZella, I have TraderView, and that's it, really. That's all I use. Just those two. I like TradeZella because you can actually watch and replay your trades, which I don't do too often, man. My losses are so small. My stops are normally low of day. HIMS is interesting. I'm trailing PDD on the ascending 20. So as long as we stay above this 20, and I bought this thing on 9/3, so almost a month ago. So as long as we stay above this ascending 20, I'm just hanging out. CLS, it was a failed breakout a few days ago. And it looks like it's tightening again. This little failed breakout was actually the best thing that could happen because it allowed the 50 to catch up even a little bit more. Yeah, Rocket Lab still looks decent as long as the 50 simple moving average holds. MU looks ready to go. I thought earnings were great for MU. I don't know that it's ready to go just yet, but yeah, it doesn't look bad at all. I like Dave. It's built a whole new base after this past quarter. No, I still want to. I don't necessarily get lazy in doing anything if all my stocks are green, because if I still have money to put to work, I got to put it to work. Not often. And if I do, so do I buy stocks with a trend setup, which are in non-leading groups or leading or lagging? No, I try not to, because I just know it's just going to lead to chop, right? And I really don't want to be chopped up too much. I like keeping the money that I've made, and I really want to make sure that I'm trading stocks in, at the very least, in a group where there are multiple setups that look strong. Unity has been strong for a few, I want to say, months now. Yeah, Unity had a nice setup down here. I don't really see anything for Unity here. No, Archer's a laggard. It's Joby or nothing. HWM, this is aerospace and defense. The group's been acting awesome. It's just so slow, man. God, these slow names bug me. There's no setup on Cypher. No, I'm not going to, because that in order for me to actually perform well and be at the top, I'd have to trade with a smaller account. I think people forget that. Like it's much easier to do 100% on $1 million than it would be to do it on my portfolio. So yeah, I mean maybe, and I could just trade with a second account and make it smaller. But my focus isn't that. My focus is on making and growing my current portfolio. What do I think of PDD? Small pullback along with the China theme. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's not even really a small pullback, right? PDD looks fine. as long as it just stays above the 20. The real issue is I just don't see a setup to add more. I don't really see like some explosive technical setup, which, kind of sucks. How do I see SMR? As a laggard. Okay, so let me ask you something. Why did Oklo go and move 70%, but SMR didn't take out July's highs? So July's highs are 53.5. How come SMR didn't go break new highs, but Oklo absolutely destroyed them? Then the question becomes, do you really want to own a laggard? I have no idea, Dimitri. I don't know if the government shutdown will send the stock market down. I think if the shutdown happened for like 6 months or 4 months or 3 months or something like that, and then, it starts to mess with incoming data every single month, then we have an issue. But, I think the market would look past it for like a few weeks. PL2 extended, Scott. 2 extended. I was stopped out of SYM, unfortunately. I bought this on 918. I trimmed a little piece into that 9.9 move, and then I was stopped out again on 9:25 in the morning. SMAs on the daily because it's calculated using every single bar equally, and then EMAs is calculated the most recent bars more heavily weighted, and I use those for smaller time frame. Too slow, Enrique. The EWW is far too slow. The RSI base too small. The other problem with the RSI base, although I don't mind the name, it's just the group. There's no action with the group. This is like a gambling stock, and DraftKings just is like there's not enough in the group going on where you'd be like, oh yeah, the group's acting awesome. Win outside of win maybe. PSX I think is acting much better. DVN, there are better names too. CVI, MPC, Dino. Yeah, there are better names, Shaq, than both of those you just mentioned. But I don't think the market is going to crash in an event of a war. When has the stock market ever crashed in an event of a war? War is good for stocks, as crazy as that might sound. I would trade NVDL. Yeah, tons of liquidity there and faster. Five card Charlie. You're asking questions that I don't even bother thinking about. What are stocks? Look, if the market wants to go down, I will just short stocks as well. Breaking key moving averages, breaking down, setting a little bear flag, breaking down on earnings, and then, you get high volume closes to the downside. You break a key range. I will short too. I really don't care if the stock market's getting its ass kicked. Doesn't really matter to me at all. Right? Doesn't make one bit of a difference. Do you have technical setups that you understand? Do you understand if the market or if this group that you're looking at is getting money or it's losing money? In which case you want to be long or you want to try and short, right? And what type of environment do you execute those trades in so that you're not looking at big red? Where's your stop when you get in? How much size do you put on? You don't have to try and answer all the questions in the world, right? Like worrying about all this other stuff doesn't move the needle in my portfolio. Oh my God, there's a war. I can't be long stocks. Okay, so short them if the market's going down, right? It's like, so I don't even think about half of the stuff I've been reading from you because it just doesn't matter. It's never moved the needle in my portfolio ever. Not one time, right? Like worrying about shit that's completely out of my control is exactly that. It's out of my control. right? Where is money going based on the homework that I'm doing the night before by scanning the market? Where is money going? Is that a clean technical setup that I understand? Can I put money here over a prior day breakout or an undercut and rally or a high type flag or a, whatever the technical setup might be, where I can limit risk in case I'm wrong? Mind you, I'm wrong 65% of the time. 65. My hit rate is 35%, and I still make tons of money. So it's like, let that sink in, right? In a place with so much uncertainty, which is exactly what you're describing by asking me all these questions, so much uncertainty in the market, I still make a fortune despite there being tons of uncertainty. Why? Because when I get myself into a winner, I let it work. I trim a little piece into strength, and then I just trail the ascending moving average as best as I can. Look, the rest of it doesn't matter. The rest of it literally does not matter. What war and what this and what's going to happen and who are you buying? I don't know, right? The stocks reveal themselves through your scanning. The groups reveal themselves through your scanning. Institutions are the ones that make that happen for you. SYM I was stopped out of. Jumia is a little bit thin and already made an insane move recently. I didn't see a spot up on this thing other than right here on the earnings gap up. So around 520, 530, something like that. And then just ride the 20. JD, a bit of a laggard. Not really one I'd rather own, right? Like, would you rather own this with no momentum or Baba, this or PDD, this or TME, this or Baidu, this or Billy? I mean, there's just far too many names within the Chinese plays to worry about one that isn't even above the 200 yet, right? You just take this chart, throw it in the trash, and when it gets above its 200 and sets you a tight spot, then you could talk about it and think about it, Isaac. Yeah, HIMS doesn't look too bad. I don't want to use the word too extended, but because it's not, this thing does look pretty interesting over, 59 and a half, but we'll see. CJ, I see a handful of setups. Yeah, there are names that definitely look good. I don't really want to chase anything on the gap up, but we'll see what happens for the first 30 minutes of the day. Marvell, yeah, a lot of these other semiconductors are really coming to life too. This one's nice to see it back above the 200, but I don't see a setup on it just yet. So ASML is another one that I tried buying a few months ago, and then it, really came back to life. I've tried buying this thing like out of this consolidation, and it just went nowhere. And that broke down and then really came back. USAR. Yep. Yeah. Great big base with a series of higher lows. Could definitely go higher. FINRA's upcoming PDT rules, where now people can day trade with $2,000. I mean, it really won't matter. I don't think. I mean, $2,000. Like here's the reality. You can day trade now with $2,000, but you can't make a career out of it with like you can't just sit at home now because you have a 2K account and you think you can day trade. You still have to go to your job, right? So does it really make a difference? Now you got a bunch of people with not a lot of money and probably not a lot of experience just losing $2,000 faster than they were before. That's the reality. So Rocket Lab, so long as it holds the 50. A little extended on real, but a bit more sideways would look really good. And yeah, this is a cup and handle. Yeah, Den, there is a link on my YouTube. Anybody can join the Discord, but there's a link. DHI. Is this a home builder? Yeah, DR Horton. Yeah, not bad. You're basically just getting, the first possible test of the 50-day, and then everything stocks. When you're looking at DHI, what will make it a little bit easier too, like when you go to execute this, if you're like, okay, you know what? It's been in an uptrend, first pullback of the 50. I'd like to see it take out, 169. And that's what you're telling yourself. And then all of a sudden, you'll take a look at XHB, which is the home builders ETF. And if that's acting well, the S&P 500 is acting well, and this is triggering your alert, and then you've got to stop at low of day or prior low of day. Yeah, that's not a bad setup. As basically a hold of the 50 simple moving average. Not bad. And what else would like help you build conviction on taking a setup like that? What's Pulte doing, PHM? What's KB Homes, KBH doing? Maybe what's BLDR doing? What's LEN Lennar doing? So it's like now all of a sudden you like see 3-4 stocks within the group that are also acting well. It kind of helps like you build that conviction to take the trade. Snow, I just don't see a spot. Bullish, this thing has done nothing since IPO. Yeah, I don't see anything to do there. TTW, you mean TTWO maybe? No setup there. Yeah, I get asked this a bunch, GBS. Obviously, environment of 2020 and 2021 happened, and it was very, very helpful for growing an account. But I would have made more money as a swing trader. You always make more money. Like everybody's got this misconception that the problem with day trading is if you're not a proficient day trader, you end up with taking a lot of paper cuts. With swing trading, you allow stocks to work. And, in 2020 and 2021, things were going up hundreds of percent very, very quickly. Swing trading would have crushed it. I mean, could you have done maybe a little bit better as a super highly proficient day trader? Or if you had learned quickly somewhat like I did and started to learn sympathy plays, yeah, you could have also done really well. But yeah, maybe lemonade as a bounce off the 50 if it takes out Friday's highs. Not bad. I don't really, love the setup, but yeah, Joby, I just, don't really see a setup here. Yeah, I don't really see a setup. Yeah, that's exactly why CGC and Tilray are moving over that Trump tweet. No, I wouldn't just buy a stock because there's been a pullback, right? I'd want to see like a higher low, right? Not just a pullback, on a pickup in volume. That's not really, I mean, it's not terrible, but you're basically just guessing that this is the low. And then now all of a sudden there's been a 7-point gap up from Friday's close. There's just nothing there yet. It depends. If I'm going to be away from my computer, I'll normally have stops, but I'm normally looking at all my stuff like all day long. Even on my phone, like once I know what positions I'm in. I mean, yes, there are times when like I don't really trade stocks that gap down a ton overnight. Right? That's more reserved for shitty small caps. Yeah, I think the robotics sector is awesome, but I was stopped out of SYM last week. Serve, much shittier. Price action's terrible. How many EMAs and SMAs do I use? Well, SMAs, I really only care about the 10, 20, 50, and 200. The others are just there as space fillers, although I am aware of them. But you don't need them all. I think, worrying about lagging indicators when it's really price structure that matters. All right, guys, I got to get my day started. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome. Tons of awesome questions today. Hopefully you guys had a super fun weekend. I know I did. Got to golf in Arcadia Bluffs, which was a blast. So, and we are picking up my fiance's Tesla today. Thank you, Elon. And I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Trade them well today. Get your week started well.